Good morning. This little video will be a little bit of information about shotgun, lead, follow through, and that kind of stuff. Primarily targeted for beginner shooters like myself. I've been shooting clays, some skeets, trap, sporting clays since July of last year, and actually I already made a video this morning about 1 year review for my over-under after 3,000 rounds shot. So I wanted to kind of add a little bit about shotgun lead. There's a ton of information out there, videos on YouTube by legendary coaches and that kind of stuff, and lots of good coverage. I just wanted to share with you some of my little findings here. This came as a little result, a little bit of math work from frustrating misses early this May on close targets about 20 yards, crossers sideways and also below my feet level, where I would, with my open cylinder or skeet choke, where I would miss targets at close range by 3 feet, and there was a puddle like a slough there, and I'm boom, and I see splash 3 feet with cylinder choke behind low flying clay at 20 yards or less. So I did a little bit of a math. Now you probably know that Olympic skeet, Olympic trap, these clays are flying at about 100 kilometers an hour plus from high house, low house, trap house, whatever, and that's about 70 miles. At my local ranges and local sporting clay clubs, their skeet field or wobble trap is probably flying at about close to 80 kilometers an hour, which is about 50 miles. And most of the sporting clay stations at this local range are probably in 40 to 50 mile an hour speed range. So I did a little bit of math as a frustration of like, how the heck can I miss this close? A typical speed of 40 to 50 miles an hour, or 60, 70, 80 kilometers an hour if you prefer, during 1 second of flight, this clay will cover anywhere between 18 and 24, 25 yards in 1 second. If you break it to quarter of a second, 15, 18 feet. And if you go into really small increments, 0.1 of a second, little fraction, that target at speed to 40 or 50 miles an hour will cover 4 to 7, 8 feet. Now, if you take into account your typical 1200 feet per second shell, target shell, it takes approximately 0.1 of a second for shot to reach target at 40 yards. During that 0.1 of a second at 40 yards, this clay will travel, as I said above, 40 to 50 miles an hour, 4, 5, 6, 7 feet in 0.1 of a second. That was kind of my eye-opener, and that's why I realized why I was missing 2 or 3 feet behind at 15, 20 yards. So, as I said above, clay can cover up 4 to 7, 8 feet in 0.1 of a second. Therefore, even at 20 yards, okay, it will take 0.05 of a second, still that clay may cover 2, 3 feet easily, coming across in 0.1 of a second or 0.05 by the time that shot reaches that target. So this kind of emphasizes the importance of lead. I stumbled also upon this little online research by this gentleman who went through lots of calculation. These are just a couple of screenshots where he has a shooter position here. Actually, here this is a shooter, this is a trap house, flight, where he's going to break it, and then what kind of lead. So this guy ran lots of programs, and his data in the summary of this internet article kind of corresponds with some of my numbers that I ran. Here he used his software and conducted tests shooting 1200 feet per second load, which is typical, with straight over 0 degree at 40 miles an hour, and these are results of his tests. It's not probably going to focus, but I will read it to you. At 20 yards, his results, he did 20, 30, 40, and 50 yards, and his leads were at 20 yards, 3 feet required for 40 mile an hour speed, which makes sense and explains why I was missing by 2 or 3 feet at 20 yards or less. 4.5 feet lead at 30 yards, 6 feet lead at roughly at 40 yards, and roughly 7.5 feet lead at 50 yards. Now, I want to also mention, as one of the local coaches said, lead is sad. Sad, what S stands for speed, E stands for angle, and D for distance. So the amount of lead will depend on these three variables: SAD, speed, angle, distance, in this order. Speed is what affects the amount of lead the most. Angle affects it secondarily, and obviously distance also will make some difference, as we know here, between 3, 4.5, 6, and 7.5 feet between 20 and 50 yards. So again, typically, again, some sources says if clay is flying straight away from you, there's no lead required, and they even I've heard some data maybe 20 degree, 15, 20 degree angle, very little or no lead required. If clay is flying at like 45 degree angle, you would take half a lead of straight across. So if you know that you're planning to break this target at, let's say, 30 yards and it's going quarterly away, you would need half the lead. So instead of having, let's say, 4.5 feet of lead, and if it's going that speed, you would probably half it. The tricky part is obviously how you judge the lead. That all comes with shooting and experience and spending time on the shooting range, sporting clay field, and that kind of stuff. There's obviously lots involved. Also, I've seen people, and I've done it. They follow the target, they have the lead, they break the target, and they follow through like bang, bang. Again, recently a gentleman told me, once you pull the trigger, which is true, in thousandths of a second, that shot leaves the barrel. So when you can stop. You don't need to. And I've seen guys, and I kind of like doing it, have that theatrical, extended follow through, which doesn't accomplish anything. As soon as you pull the trigger, you can stop. What you don't want to do is stop before you pull in the trigger. Then it's a guaranteed miss, because even if you stop and pull the trigger, that 0.1 of a second when you stop before you pull the trigger you'll miss 10 out of 10 times. So also there's a ton of information as insert the gun in front of the target. Again, Gilash is saying as if you move just at the same speed and have some lead becomes less important. Boom, you'll break it. Lots of people swear by pull through lead or pull away lead. And again, it comes to personal preference, what you're used to. I'm being new shooter, I'm experimenting with everything and having fun. That's the main thing, is having fun, but being aware why it is important to have lead. But when you do the math, and when and like just this gentleman using fancy software, then you can see importance. So even now, it, as I said, 20 yards coming across, I always put good 2-3 feet of a lead, and my my hit rate has improved since I did this kind of homework myself, and especially after I stumbled upon extensive research from this gentleman on importance of lead and actually numbers. I mean, again, judging 4.5 lead at 40 yards, that takes practice and experience, but at least when it's on the paper based on cartridge speed and angles and then clay speed, then it does totally make sense. That's what I kind of wanted to cover in this morning's video, and nothing kind of substitutes going out and breaking a bunch of these little orangey things. Thank you. You have a great day. Bye bye.